Lippitz were potentially experiencing some challenges in order fulfillment, and the operation team really wanted to understand why and what was causing some of these challenges. After some deeper analysis, the team were able to identify that possibly a combination of operational and technical issues were contributing to some of the order fulfillment challenges. And I want to share with you how they address some of the technical aspects with the introduction of the Dynamics 365 Cloud and Edge Scale Unit. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the Scale Unit Manager. And now I'm logged in, what we're looking at here is a visual representation of Lippitt's global manufacturing and distribution operations. You can see that the core HQ capabilities are all deployed in North America, and I get a view of the global operations in different countries. Now, when they identified the potential technical aspects which contributed to the order fulfillment process challenges, they're able to support that theory through some visualization here on the right-hand part of the screen. By clicking on the network latency and the daily traffic load indicators, I get feedback that perhaps we have some challenges between Florence and Oregon. After some internal analysis, what Lippitz were able to identify is that the latency and bandwidth between these two locations was just too great. So they decided to deploy a cloud scale unit between Florence and Oregon. By doing so, this will allow all distribution activities such as inbound and outbound operations to transact locally in the data center closest to these outlets, therefore reducing the network latency and improving throughput, which helps address some of the traffic load challenges across the enterprise. So let me show you how they're able to do that. First of all, I'm going to choose the option Configure Scale Units. Once I've done that, I'm going to click on Add Scale Unit. Here I get the choice of whether I want to deploy within the United States or whether in Europe. I'm going to select Europe. By adding that cloud scale unit, I now have it incorporated into my architecture. But before I actually activate this, what I need to do is create the workload. Once I select Create Workload, I choose the environment in which this applies to. I then have the option of either running my Manufacturing Execution System workload or my Warehouse Execution System workload. In this instance, I'm going to choose my Warehouse Execution System workload. I would choose my legal entity. I would then choose the site, and lastly, which warehouse this is referring to. Okay, so now that we've got this configured, let's take a look at what the new architecture could look like after we've made these changes. You can see by the visual, after deploying these and running live in the new architecture, our metrics and KPIs have improved and my bottlenecks caused by the technical challenges have been overcome, therefore supporting my operations. So let's think about this from a traditional architectural viewpoint. Something which would typically take weeks or if not months to coordinate and get up and running, with the power of Dynamics 365 Cloud and Edge, we've been able to very rapidly deploy a new cloud scale unit into the relevant data center, and we've been able to do that seamlessly. I should also mention an alternative option that's available, and particularly if communications in that area is not ideal, would be to deploy an edge scale unit. And that could be deployed in the actual facility of the warehouse distribution center itself. This provides a hybrid mode of both cloud and on-premise architecture, and it supports a disconnected scenario, meaning even if my back office is down for, say, maintenance, operations can function and process locally. So in summary, with the introduction of the Dynamics Cloud Scale Manager, Lippitz have been able to make more informed decisions across their supply chain through visual identification, but more impactfully, make architectural changes rapidly and seamlessly that positively affect their overall manufacturing and distribution operations. So having shared with you how Lippitz were able to improve warehouse operations with the introduction of the cloud scale unit, I wanted to share with you how they're taking manufacturing execution to a whole new level. Firstly, let's look at one of the manufacturing plants of Lippitz. Resilience through local worker consoles was so critical to the overall execution of their manufacturing facilities. So what you see here is an example of a particular work center, and in this case, the punching unit. And due to the fact that these devices are shared and are touchscreened, they needed the ability to configure in some time delay scenarios so as to enable workers to sanitize in between shifts. So after sanitization, I'm able to log into my device with my credentials. The contrast ratio gives you a different color screen to handle harsh conditions on the shop floor, where we might end up with soiled screens or broken screens. The visualization still shows and is very clear to the user. What is presented to me here is a detailed view of the production job associated to a particular work order. And it also gives me the ability to bring in additional telemetry related to that particular production job. So here, for instance, I have some IoT sensory information, which displays for me the overall output of the quantity for that punching machine. Additionally, I can get visibility into the overall equipment effectiveness with some pretty decent results. And on the right, if there are any camera feeds, these can also be associated and visible as well. Now I'm going to pause here for a minute, and I want to share with you how the machine operators can start to take advantage of mixed reality. Introducing mixed reality into the shop floor provided workers with a guided experience on how to effectively, say, produce an item, but more importantly, maybe change out a tool which was specific to this particular manufacturing job. The idea here being that a worker can scan the QR code and follow a super cool guided experience on maybe swapping out a tool for this particular operation. Let me tag team in Ryan from Lippitz, who put this video together just to show what the mixed reality experience feels like on the shop floor.
Thanks, Matt. We are operating at full capacity here in Granby, and we need all the help we can get to meet demand. Just by scanning a QR code, I'm launched right into the Guides application. This machine is complicated and can be dangerous, so having the instructions overlaid right where the work happens means I can get the job done right the first time. Our procedures are highly variable. Here, depending on the gauge reading, I might have to readjust the machine. Even with changing conditions, Guides can branch to the right instructions. HoloLens knows where my hands are when I'm working, so right when I'm done the step, the spatial triggers are activated and the guide moves me along to the next instruction. The machine needs to be configured differently to match all the different orders. Branching with spatial triggers lets me make choices without having to pause and make a selection. I just grab what I need and the triggers activate the right next step. I don't need to leaf through different work instructions, so I can move quickly knowing that I'm taking the right action. Guides fits right into our workflows, so we can use it for all sorts of procedures across the plant. You know, Matt, I'm working here with older equipment, but it really feels like I'm working in the future. Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Some really cool stuff Lippitz have got going on right there. And let's get back to our manufacturing execution piece of this, just to add some additional insight into the context of Lippitz. Due to the fact that there are other systems within the Lippitz organization, one critical component which was important for them was how do we get an external view of inventory on hand, which other legacy systems can utilize while they transform these solutions onto a single platform. What I'm showing you here is an example of how the manufacturing execution application is able to leverage the Dynamics 365 Inventory Visibility Service to enable Lippitz with a real-time inventory on-hand view across a range of warehouses, locations, and it's presented to the user, which allows them to click through and identify where these items reside within what warehouse. The Inventory Visibility as a Service capability provides a hyperscalable option for external solutions to connect to, so as to provide a true inventory position, all leveraging the common data model provided as part of Dynamics 365. The usage pattern here becomes quite endless, as the Inventory Visibility Service can be consumed by vendors, by customers, which therefore provides a much greater connected experience into the Lippitz supply chain, offering more advanced input into scenarios like demand forecasting. So that ends the demonstration I wanted to share with you, and I hope you got a feel for how technology of today's world is enhancing and helping drive decisions in tomorrow's supply chain and manufacturing excellence.